My mother-in-law called me the help at her own dinner party. She didn't know I was standing 3 feet away, holding a stack of napkins, close enough to hear every word. My name's Renee Carter. I'm 31. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I married into a family that needed me more than they ever loved me. It took me 6 years to understand the difference. My husband Tom's parents lived 2 streets over. Bill had a stroke 5 years back, left him weak down one side. Since then, I've done it all. Groceries, his meals, his pills, physical therapy 3 days a week. I drive Linda, my mother-in-law, to church every Sunday like clockwork. Nobody ever asked me to do any of it. I just did it. That's who I am. Tom works brutal hours at the hospital. Somebody had to step up, so I did. Every Thanksgiving, I cook for 18 people in Linda's kitchen. Every single year, alone at that stove. I told myself it didn't matter that she never said the food was good. I told myself a lot of things. Last month, Linda threw a dinner party. 12 women from her garden club. She asked me to cook the whole thing. I said yes. I always say yes. I spent 9 hours in that kitchen. Shrimp and grits, cornbread, my grandmother's peach cobbler. The doorbell kept ringing. I kept answering it, taking coats, pouring wine, smiling. Around 7, I slipped into the pantry for more napkins. That's when I heard a woman ask Linda, "Who's the sweet girl doing all this cooking?" Linda laughed. She said, "Oh, that's just our help. Comes with the family, bless her heart." I froze. Napkins pressed against my chest like a shield. The woman said, "You're so lucky to have her." Linda said, "Good ones are hard to find these days." I set the napkins down slow. My hands were steady. That scared me more than shaking would have. I walked back into that room. I smiled. I poured more wine. Nobody knew what I'd just heard. I drove home in total silence. Tom asked how the party went. I said, "Fine." I didn't tell him. Not that night. 3 days later, I was cleaning out Linda's hall closet, looking for extra folding chairs. I found a green folder shoved behind a box of Christmas ornaments. Inside were pay stubs, 6 years of them. My name at the top of every single one. Renee Carter, household staff, hourly wages logged, tax write-offs claimed. I sat down on the floor of that closet and read every page twice. They'd been writing me off, literally, as a business expense, as hired help. For 6 years, on paper, in the eyes of the government, I wasn't family. I was payroll. Nobody ever paid me $1 of it. The money went somewhere, just not to me. I drove home holding that folder like it might catch fire. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table until sunrise, folder open in front of me. When Tom woke up, I slid it across the table without a word. He read the first page. His face went white. He read the second page. His hand started shaking. He said, "Renee, I swear to God, I didn't know about this." I said, "Somebody sign these, Tom, every single year." He looked at the signature line, his father's handwriting. Bill's signature, shaky from the stroke, but his. Tom stood up so fast his chair hit the floor. He drove to his parents' house. I followed 10 minutes behind, my hands white on the wheel. When I walked in, Tom already had the folder open on Linda's kitchen table. He said, "Mom, Dad, explain this to me right now." Linda's face went pale. Bill wouldn't look up from his coffee. Linda said, "It was just for taxes, Tom. It didn't mean anything." Tom said, "It meant she wasn't your daughter-in-law on paper. It meant she was staff." Linda started crying. She said, "I never meant for her to see that." I finally spoke. My voice came out steadier than I felt. I said, "You didn't mean for me to see the folder, but you meant every year you signed it." The room went completely silent. Bill finally looked up. His eyes were wet. He said, "Renee, I'm sorry. I let the accountant talk me into it. I should have stopped it years ago." I said, 6 years, Bill. 6 Thanksgivings. 6 years of driving Linda to church. And I was a line item. Nobody had an answer for that, because there wasn't one good enough. I walked out to my car. Tom followed me. He stood in the driveway while I sat behind the wheel, engine off, hands in my lap. He said, "I'm choosing you. Whatever that means from here, I'm choosing you. I didn't answer right away. 6 years doesn't undo itself in one driveway conversation. 2 weeks passed. I still drove Linda to church. Some habits don't break just because your heart's cracked open. But something between us had changed. The silence had teeth now. Then Bill had a bad fall in the bathroom. Linda called me first. Not Tom, me. Old habits, I guess. I still came running. I got him steady, called the paramedics myself, rode in the ambulance because Linda was too shaken to drive. 6 hours in that waiting room, still in my apron from lunch. I'd never gone home to change. Around midnight, Linda sat down next to me. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she said, I've spent 6 years writing you off, and tonight you're the only one who showed up for my husband. I didn't look at her. I said, I showed up for Bill. Not for the family that put me on payroll and never told me. She started crying again. She said, you're right to be angry. I don't know how to fix 6 years. I said, you start by telling the truth, out loud, to people who aren't in your garden club. At Sunday dinner a month later, Linda stood up before the meal. Her hand shook around her glass. She said, I owe everyone here the truth. For 6 years, I let my accountant list Renee as hired help on our taxes. I let it happen because it was easier than admitting how much we needed her. She looked right at me. She said, you were never staff, Renee. You were the only one who never stopped showing up. I was too proud to say that out loud until now. I sat there with my throat tight, tears running before I could stop them. Tom reached over and took my hand under the table. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. I learned something I didn't expect to learn at 31 years old. Sometimes the people who need you the most are the ones least willing to say it. Silence isn't the same as gratitude. And love that never gets spoken out loud starts to look a lot like something else. I'm still Renee Carter, still driving Linda to church on Sundays, but now she says thank you. Every single time. Have you ever given everything to a family that never once said it out loud? Tell me in the comments below.